Hey everybody, what's up? It's Chapman here, and this is a long one, so we're getting right into it. Now, step one for this farm is to find yourself a chunk. So simply press F3 and G, and that is going to turn on your chunk borders. Find yourself a chunk, and make sure that it is 60 blocks away from everything. So that is the radius right there. And make the base plate of that chunk out of glass. Now, the lowest that you can be for this farm is Y64, which is one layer above the water level, okay? Don't go any lower than this. Y64 is the lowest that you can be for this one. Take note of both the south and the east side of the farm, because when we are standing inside the farm farming, we are going to be facing the east. So technically the east is the back of the farm. On the southeast corner, mark yourself out another 6x6 base plate like I have here. This is going to be for some redstone, which we will come back to later. Set yourself up a beacon right now if you want to. I mean, basically just set yourself up this little system right here. But once you have this set up right here, all you have to do is turn off your chunk borders, and let's get building. Now, before we get into this build, I'm going to be pulling up this little menu right here a lot. When I'm talking about Y level, I'm going to say Y level, okay? But for things like the positions of the villagers, and to get us started with our soul sand, I am going to be referring to the block number. And when I pull up and mention this block number, what I am referencing is this number right here. These two numbers move the same as each other. So as I'm walking around, you can see block number, block box number. These things are the same. When I'm standing on 7010, that one says 7010. When I'm standing on 15010, this one says 15010. So when I'm talking about that number, or when I mention that number, that is the number that I am talking about in your F3 menu. This is just a little easier, and I'm on an ultra wide, so when I pull up my menu, this is what it looks like to you guys. It's kind of lame. Now, step one for this farm is we are going to come to the southeast corner, and we are going to come in 7 blocks and back 6 blocks, and we are going to place down 2 pieces of soul sand. For reference, this soul sand should be on 909, and the second one should be on 809 for your block number. Behind the soul sand, we're going to place down 1 piece of glass with 3 high on the left side and another 3 high on the right side. On the third one up, we're going to come back 7 blocks on both sides. So up 3, back 7, and then on the angle right here on both sides, we're going to build up 5 blocks in total, and we're going to bring this back 9. With those done, we're just going to connect the back and then run a single row all the way to the front right here. And then we're going to take 2 water sources and place both of them in the ends. This is going to create 2 little water troughs, and they should both stop right here before they drop down. At the end of these water troughs, we're going to leave a 1 block gap and build up 5 blocks with our honey. We're going to do that on both sides. And then we're simply just going to drop down here. We're going to place a dispenser facing forward with a glass block above it. To the right side of this dispenser, we're going to dig it out 1 single block, making a 1 block drop like that. You may have to build it up because you are in the water. Then we're going to place a dispenser facing into that 1 block drop with an observer facing inwards and then a string in front of the observer. This string right here, believe it or not, this is what triggers the entire farm. Next, we're just going to simply swing around to the back side. We're going to place 1 glass on the back of the dispenser with another one above it. And then right here on the angle, we're going to remove this 1 block, place a piece of ice, and then we're going to place a temporary block on top of that ice, which we will come back to later. Basically, all the items are going to come flowing out of here. But with that done, that is what you should have right there. Up 3, back 7, up 5, on the 4th one, back 9. Just 2 simple water troughs that collect all of the items and flow them into the honey here. Next, behind this dispenser, we're going to place down 3 solid blocks. We're then going to turn the corner, leaving a 5 block gap. We're going to place down another solid block. Turn the corner again, temporary block with 2 solid blocks on top of it, temporary at the end. Solid block, temporary, with another 3 solid blocks going back towards the farm. 2 solid blocks coming off of that glass, 2 solid blocks coming off the back of that glass, 3 blocks to connect these into center, and then jumping up on both sides, we're going to step this out 1 and then come forward 3. Step it out 1, come forward 3. Jumping down, we're going to place 3 sticky pistons underneath these 3 solid blocks with 3 more on the opposite side. And then in the center here, we're just going to simply build this up so that it is level with all of these solid blocks here. And now we need to convert these little 3 sections right here with these sticky pistons into the little 3x3 sections where we are going to be capturing all of the mobs and all of the items. And to do that, we're going to place a top half slab in each one of these gaps right here, with a trapdoor sideways underneath it on the left and the right side. Turning around, we're going to build up 2 glass right here with 2 glass on the opposite side, with 2 fence gates on each one of these glass sideways above each other, with glass on the back of each one of these fence gates. In between these fence gates, we're going to build it up 4 high in total, with 2 glass blocks above each of the fence gates. Jumping across to the opposite side, we're going to build a 2x3 wall right there in the center. We're then going to jump to the inside, build this up so that it is even with those 2x3 walls. And then right here in front of each of these pistons, we're going to build it up 4 blocks in total. And with that complete, you should now basically have your 2 little 3x1 slots right here, where all of your mobs and all of your items are going to fall down and get collected. And if you followed along and done this correctly, you can see I am standing on Y72. Dead center of the farm right here, I am at 989. Standing on Y72. Now what we need to do though is we need to convert these 3x1s into 5x1s. And to do that, right here at the end of each one of these 3x1s, we are going to place down an extra piece of glass. These can even be temporary blocks. And on top of these blocks, we're going to place 4 pistons facing inwards. We're then going to place a solid block in between each one of these pistons with 2 observers facing down into the solid blocks. And then double glass on both sides of each of the observers. In the center, we are going to build this up 3 high so that it is level with these observers we just placed. And then jumping down on both sides, we're going to place down a temporary block on the piston. And then we are going to close this in and make this 5 blocks wide and 3 blocks tall. We're going to do that for both sides. So temporary block, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now just like that, we have now converted our 3x1s into 5x1s. I'm now standing on Y75, center of the farm is still 99. We're going to come back and we're going to turn both of these observers around later on. They're just a little annoying to have the pistons pumping right now. But with your little 5x1 converter now all done, we need to place a glass block above each one of these observers, and then now we're just going to continue this 5x1 here all the way up to Y90. So just continue this 5x1 outline here all the way up until you get to Y90, or basically add 15 layers above these observers right here. And now, once you are at Y90, coming to each of these long sides here, we are going to simply build these out by 1 solid block. And then on these build-outs, we're going to run 5 sticky pistons facing inwards with 5 stairs that are upside down on top of them. Starting from the front piston here, going towards the back of the farm, we are going to run 7 solid blocks. And we are going to do that on both sides. We are going to connect these 2. And then off of the southeast corner right here, we are going to build back 2 temporary blocks off of the corner with a solid block on the end. We can remove these. Place a repeater on this first solid block set to the second tick, a redstone torch in front of it, and then a piece of glass on top of that solid block. Off of this redstone torch, we are going to cover every single solid block here with a piece of redstone dust. That should extend all of your stairs out into the opening here, allowing mobs to spawn on top of them. Above each one of these sticky pistons, we are going to build it up 2 glass blocks, with 3 glass blocks on each of the ends, and 3 glass blocks running across the center here. And with that complete, that is your spawning area for all of your mobs now done. So it's just a 2 high area right here above all of these stairs that we just placed. When I'm standing on the center of this stair, I am at 9, 11, 18, standing on Y91. Here I am on the opposite side. The east is behind me there. But with our spawning area now done, now we need to work on the Ravager Killers. And to do that, we're simply going to place a cauldron right here, dead center of the farm, with another 2 on the opposite sides, 1 more in each corner here on the outside, and then we need to place a solid block in between the gap here with a cauldron on top of each of them. So you should have a 1 block gap here with a 2 block gap here. With that complete, coming to the outsides with these 1 block gaps, we're going to place a stair with a piece of glass in front of it, and then we're going to fill that with water. And we're going to repeat that 4 times. And now we're just going to take all of our buckets and we are going to go grab some lava from the desert way over there. And we are going to fill all of these cauldrons with lava. Okay, once your lava is all in place, just fill in all of the gaps so that way everything is all nice and level here. And then simply place a row of blocks above each one of the cauldrons and the lava. This should bring you up to Y95, and then anywhere along here, it doesn't matter, place down a temporary block to make a 1 block gap, place a solid block, and then mirror this outline that you see, run a row across the center here, and then cover it all in glass, because these are solid blocks, mobs could spawn up here, which we do not want. You can then remove this temporary block, and with that complete, that is what you should have right there. So you should have 2 5x1 sections here that have a 2 block gap with cauldrons above them. This is going to allow mobs to spawn, and because Ravagers are so thick, they get either picked up by the stairs or the trapdoors that you have here with water inside them, pulled up above the lava, stopped by those blocks up there, and then burnt up. We could also send them to the nether too, but that's a whole nother farm. And 400 some odd thousand items per hour. But with that all done, now we're going to jump back down here to the bottom, and we're going to work on the lower redstone. So starting from right here behind this observer, we are going to place down 2 repeaters, with the first one on the second tick and the second one on the last tick. We're then going to come down 2 pieces of redstone with 3 repeaters. The first repeater set to the last tick, with the other 2, you don't even touch them. Redstone, 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 remove, redstone torch. Above the redstone torch, we're going to have redstone with a repeater set to the second tick, and then cover the rest of this with redstone dust. This is going to extend all the pistons out into the 3x1, allowing all of the mobs to take fall damage when they come down here. And then we slice and these things pop and they do their thing, and then we just end up rich. But with that done, that is what the redstone in the lower half should look like. But with all of this redstone done right here, remember that one right there is set to the second tick. Now it's time for us to move on to phase 2 of the build. The redstone stacks, or the honey stacks, and the villagers. Now that may look a little complicated right there, but we only have 2 types of stacks. We have ones with 9 honey on them, and those allow us to get over some distance, and then we have ones with 7 honey on them. And that allows us to attach items to them, so that way we can trigger the redstone. And to start this, we are going to take our last 10 pieces of redstone dust, and from right here, we are going to run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And on the 10th one, we're going to remove this block, replace it with a solid block, and then 10. Beside this solid block, we're going to remove and place a sticky piston facing up, with an observer behind it facing out, a trapdoor in front of it, solid block on top of the trapdoor, temporary block above the piston with a honey block, and then another observer facing into the honey block. Remove that, place glass above this solid block. And with that all done, now what I'm going to do, because I'm working with honey blocks, I'm going to go over here to the beacon, and I'm going to give myself some jump boost too. And what this is going to allow me to do, especially because I'm working with honey, is actually jump and stack honey, just like you would with any other block. So there's really no issue whatsoever. I choose this over slime blocks because slime blocks they're even more annoying. But with our jump 2 activated, again, we're going to place down a temporary block with 1 honey, and then from right here, rerun our first stack of 9. So that's 1. And that's 9. Then we go redstone block, and starting from right here, this is where I'm going to build 1 more intersection and get villager 1 in place. And each intersection from here on out is built the exact same way, okay? Above this redstone block, we are going to place down 2 temporary blocks going towards the back of the farm, with a trapdoor on the second temporary block. We can now remove that, place an observer facing in with a solid block on top. Turning around, we're going to remove that, place a sticky piston facing up with a honey block on top and an observer going into the honey block. Finish this off by placing a glass block with another glass block above the observer, and that is what every single intersection looks like. So whether we do 9 or whether we do 7, it really does not matter. That's how you build each one. It's repeatable. It's the same. But starting from right here to get villager 1 in place, we need to go up 5 in total. That is 1, 2, and we're up 5. Towards the front of the farm, on the 4th one down, we're going to place down a temporary block with an obsidian block beside it. Coming off of the obsidian, we're going to place a trapdoor with 2 temporary blocks, remove the first one, and place an observer facing into that trapdoor. Place a second observer facing down into the first observer, place a solid block on top, and remove your temporary block. To both the east and the north side, we're going to place down a sticky piston with a composter on the left and a temporary and a composter on the right. We need a glass block below us above this solid block, a glass block in between these 2 composters, stair above each one of the composters, and then a piece of glass above each of the stair. To activate these 2 composters, what we need to do is we actually need to leave that temporary block on the 4th one right there, and then we are going to jump down and place 2 temporary blocks off of the composter. We need an observer facing up into those temporary blocks. We are then going to jump back up, glass above the observer, 2 temporary blocks above that piece of glass, with 2 more glass on either side of those temporary blocks. And now once you have all of this done, right here on block 0413, standing on Y84, this is where you place villager number 1, okay? 0413, 0413. This is where villager number 1 goes. To finish this off, we're going to jump back down onto the honey, add 2 more honey blocks here, 1 more below us attached to that observer. Might have to get a little tricky with it. Then a redstone block with 2 temporary blocks coming off of the tail end of it, and here's where we're going to start another intersection. So we need a trap door, observer facing in, solid block on top, remove, sticky piston facing up, honey block on top, observer facing in, double glass on top of each of these. And with that complete, now it's time for us to work on the activator. So to do this, we're just going to simply build up 7 honey blocks in total. That is 1, 7. We're going to place a solid block on the back side of that repeater with a glass block above it. We're now going to jump across, place an observer going into that top honey block with a redstone block on top of it, glass above the observer, and just like that, our activator is complete. So now every time the farm fires, this observer here is going to drop down, activate the floors. Just remember, this repeater here needs to be on the 2nd tick. And then starting from right here, we are just going to run 2 more intersections, both of them with stacks of 9, and I'm going to start my 5th intersection. Okay, I ran my 2 stacks of 9 below me, and I started my 5th intersection now. Now it is time for us to get villager number 2 in place. So starting from this sticky piston, we are going to run 5 honey blocks in total, 3, 4, 5. With obsidian on the 4th one below us, we're then going to attach a trapdoor to that obsidian with 1, 2, 3 temporary blocks. We're then going to remove the first 2 with 2 observers going into the trapdoor with 1 more facing down. A solid block above the observer with a sticky piston on both the east and the south side. Composter to your left, temporary block, composter to your right. Cover both of these with stairs, and then cover both of these with glass. Remove your temporary block. Place a piece of glass below you with 2 more temporary blocks above it. 2 more glass blocks on either side. Remove the temporary blocks. And right here, standing on 14013, 14013, this is where you place villager number 2, 14013. To activate this villager, we're just going to simply jump out and come back down. We are going to place a glass block above this trapdoor with 2 temporary blocks above it, with another one coming out above you. We're now going to remove this honey block, place an observer facing up into that temporary block, remove all 3 of these temporary blocks, cover that observer with a piece of glass, and from right here, place 3 more honey block with a redstone block And from right here above this redstone, we are just going to run another 2 stacks of 9 and our 8th intersection. Okay, I've ran my 2 stacks of 9 and I started my 8th intersection. Now it's time for villager 3. In order to get villager 3 in place, again, I'm on my 8th intersection. I'm going to build my honey up 1, 2, 3. On the second one down, I'm going to run obsidian with a trap door, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 temporary blocks. Remove the first 3, place 1, 2, 3 obsidian with another one facing down. Solid block on top with a sticky piston on both the east and the south side. Composter, temporary, composter. Stair above each composter with glass below you, glass above each stair. 2 temporary blocks in between, surround each of these. Remove the temporary blocks, and this right here is villager number 3. 13, 0, 13, standing on Y160. 13, 0, 13. Villager number 3. To activate villager number 3, we are just going to simply jump out, cover the observer and the trapdoor with glass. We're going to run 2 temporary blocks above the glass here. Remove this 1 honey block, temporary out 1, observer facing up, and then we can remove all these. Replace our honey, glass above the observer, and then this needs to be a 7 stack. That is 1, 2, 3, 7. Redstone block with another intersection plus 9. 1 more intersection plus 7, and then a final intersection plus 3. This is going to be for villager number 4. For villager 4, we are just going to simply build up 3 honey block. On the first one, we are going to place down some obsidian with a trapdoor going into it, and 1, 2, 3, 4 temporary blocks. Remove the first 3, 1, 2, 3 observers with a 4th and a 5th one facing down. A solid block on top, a sticky piston to the east and the south side. Composter, temporary, composter, with your stair, glass below you, glass above each stair. Close in your pod, remove your temporary blocks, and right here, 13013, standing on Y192, it's villager number 4. Again, if you built your farm higher, the middle number is the only one that's going to change. 13013. Now, to activate villager number 4, we're just going to simply jump out and replace our glass. Build out 2 temporary blocks above this honey and place an observer facing up. We can now remove those. We're going to turn around and we're going to place glass, glass, glass. 2 more glass here at the top, and we are now officially done with the redstone. But we got one last villager that we got to get in place. And he's actually pretty easy. Starting from right here above this honey block, or above this glass that's above this honey block, we are going to build up another 24 blocks. That's 2. And now I'm 24 blocks up, standing on Y215. Now, towards the front of the farm, or towards the villagers, I'm going to come forward 5 blocks. So that is 6 in total, and then I'm going to come towards the north 2 blocks. And right here on 13, 7, 11, this is where villager number 5 goes. 13, 7, 11. 13, 7, 11. So just place a simple composter now below you on this block. Place 2 temporary blocks on the inside and then surround them all with glass. And then right here in this composter on 13, 7, 11, this is where you place villager number 5. We don't need no activators or nothing for this guy. Now, all you're going to do is just simply remove all of these blocks right here. I'm going to go around and I'm going to make sure that I removed all of my temporary blocks from underneath all of these composters, including the temporary that was down here at the bottom. This one's you want to make sure you get that one. But with all of your temporary blocks removed, and now that we're back down here at the bottom, now it is completely up to you. Storage system. What storage system are you going to build? All of the items, all we need to do is grab 2 water buckets, jump up here and remove this center glass block that is above the dispenser here, and place a water block on each side and allow it to flow down and out. And right here is where all of your items come out of. Put a trapdoor above the ice, place a piece of soul sand on the opposite side if you would like to, and then right here is where you start or where you can send your items, basically anywhere. But that is completely up to you. I'm not gonna, I mean, the world download will have one, but it's up to you what you do with your storage system and where you send your items. You can either send them, you can send them left, you can send them right, it does not matter. But if you're building this, I'm literally assuming that you know how to build a storage system. But once you have that done, there's an overview of where all of your villagers should be in one quick thing. Now it's just time for you to shuffle them in place. And that is so easy. All you need is a piece of soul sand. And starting from right here, because all of these guys are pretty much in a line with each other, build yourself a soul sand bubble elevator all the way to the top. Place some water in it, just build some small little bridges, and shuffle each one of your villagers in place. Make sure you put a roof over their head too. And once you have all of your villagers in place, just make sure you put a roof over top of all of their heads. Or just stick a lightning rod at the top to, you know, attract any of the lightning bolts that come around this farm. Last and final step before we go and get Bad Omen. We need to now finally flip these observers around. And now you guys can understand why I didn't do this at the beginning of the video. Oh, I missed it. Okay, observers are flipped. They are pumping. I'm going to get some Bad Omen. Bad Omen 1 has been acquired. This right here, this is a sword that you're going to need for the farm. So you need Sharpness 5, Sweeping Edge 3, Looting 3, and definitely some Mending. And once you have those two things, now it's time for you to decide, because you need an auto clicker for this. This farm runs at 30 game ticks. You can either use Tweakaroo if you would like to. Just go into the menu, set your periodic attack interval to 30. Bind it to whatever hotkey that you would like, and you are good to go. Now, if you don't have Tweakaroo and you want to use Carpet, that is the command right there that you use in order to run this farm with Carpet. And now, if you can't use any of those things for whatever reason, what you can use is an auto clicker. And I'm pretty sure it's 1500 milliseconds is what 30 game ticks is. I'll double check and put it above my head if I'm right or wrong. But if you can't use either of those, you can definitely use an auto clicker. But now I'm all set up and ready to go. So in order for me to start this farm, what I am going to do is I'm going to simply fly nice and low. I'm going to land on my platform and I'm going to wait till my raid bar gets to about halfway. And then I'm going to chop this first guy. Once the raid thing disappears, I'm going to activate my auto clicker. By that time, you should already hear the raids coming in. And just like that, we are farming. So you can already see the items coming down in the backside here. It takes a few waves in order for this thing to build up and gain momentum. But once it does, in the first hour, you're probably going to get around 230,000 items per hour. And then after that, it's going to be above 250 every single hour. And I consistently see, hour after hour, 261 coming through the chest. But as you can see, we've only been doing this for a couple of minutes already, and we have decent amount of waves spawning in both of these platforms. Everybody is landing down here, and I can already see this is why it's important that you don't build. This is why it's important why you don't have anything within range of this farm. Oh my god, look at the amount of raid members over there, and look at the amount of raid members over here. This is why it's important that you don't have anything around this farm, okay? Like, this is a good lesson there. I left my wool up and I didn't put any carpet over it. And now... Okay, but the farm works. I've just literally been burning all of those items as they've been coming down here. I'm getting out of here. Okay, I've jumped over here to the raid farm that you guys are getting in the world download. It comes included with a storage system. It's the exact same villager setup, so no changes have been made to those guys. Around the back here, it is just a simple bubble elevator. As you can see, all my XP. But we just have a simple bubble elevator that goes up and over top of our redstone and then comes across, and each one of these item sorters is a double speed item sorter, okay? I've got everything all written down here. This thing right here, this is a 6x speed shulker loader, so this thing's gonna load up shulker boxes for you with some emeralds. It's by Jcraft. And you're probably gonna need at least 3 of them in place, because this was the one that I set up for when it was at 202,000 items per hour. And now we're at 260,000 items per hour, so good luck to you. Farm literally functions the exact same way as the other one. All you have to do is just stand out here on the platform or land out here at the platform with your Bad Omen. Somewhere right between those two lines is where the raid is actually going to start and activate, unless you come in jumping. There we go. All you have to do is just start your slicing here. Once the thing gets to about halfway, and just continuously attack, and in no time, you'll be the richest in Minecraft. Now, let's just say theoretically, you have been running this farm for hours and hours and hours, and you are officially done with it, okay? Let's just say you're done with it. For some odd reason, those guys up there, they never want to go away. They literally stay there forever. So you have to flush the system. In order to do that, you're just going to simply place a button right here. This wasn't even in the materials list, but you're simply just going to press this button and flush the system until nobody else spawns up there. This is literally like one of my favorite things about the farm, because you just see all the waves just drop down. And then they crush. It's absolutely fantastic, but it literally takes like a minute in order for you to flush and turn off the farm, which to me is perfectly fine. I am perfectly a-okay with that. Okay, this is literally like flush number 21, and they're still coming, but just barely. Yeah, we have nobody spawning up there anymore. So now that we got nobody spawning up there and everybody is down here, don't go slicing again, because that is how you reactivate. That's literally how you restart the farm. All you have to do now is leave. And once you return, look it. All of your witches and everybody is gone. Nobody else is spawning at the top. And you are literally good to go and get Bad Omen and restart and rerun this farm. So this is it. My gift to you, 260,000 items per hour. This is a long one too, block by block. This is probably gonna be about a half an hour tutorial. I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.